It's that time for the 2025 Landlord-Tenant Legal Update. In this quick update, we are going to cover 5 big changes, including 2 of renters' biggest gripes, including application fees when applying for a rental and getting your security deposit, new laws that landlords must follow. Hey there! Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates. We've been helping renters and landlords understand their rights before things go wrong. And don't take our word for it. We have a link to all the civil codes so that you can read this legislation on your own. We encourage you to go directly to the source. And remember, we can't give tax or legal advice, but for the most honest and up-to-date real estate advice, subscribe to this channel. One of the biggest complaints renters have when it is time to apply for a rental, they can be running around town paying application fees all over the place. AB 2493 changes the way application fees are handled in the state of California. So first off, in order to collect applications and application fees, a landlord or property manager needs to have a property for rent right now or about to be available for rent. You can't just be collecting applications and holding on to them and charging people. Once that requirement is met, there now will be 2 ways to screen applicants. So the first way, the landlord or property manager will need to give the application plus their screening guidelines. So whatever they require for screening, meaning what minimum credit score they have, what requirements they have for income, in addition to what they require to actually screen the renter. In this scenario, the landlord must choose the first applicant that meets the requirements that they give in those screening requirements. So they can't go ahead and collect a bunch of applications and then choose from all the best candidates. They have to choose the first one that meets those requirements. Any renters beyond that applicant, the landlord must refund the application fee to those renters if the applicants don't meet those screening requirements. So for example, their credit score is lower than the minimum score that was required by the landlord and given with that application, the landlord does not have to return the application fee. It's only those who applied and meet the screening requirements and were not chosen by the landlord. The other way that a landlord can screen for a renter is that landlord who likes to collect applications and choose the best one. If a landlord is going to go this route, they can do that, but what they must do is upon picking a renter, they have to return the application fees to all those renters they didn't choose. Even if a renter didn't meet their screening requirements, in this case, the landlord must return that rental application fee. A lot of the questions I receive are related to security deposits and how much a landlord is returning. There's a new law in town, AB 2801, which is now going to require more photographic evidence. In 2025, if a landlord is going to keep security deposit, they still need to give their itemized list of deductions, but now they must include a written description of why they're deducting those funds, plus include pictures. AB 2801 will be phased in throughout 2025 and will be the law of the land going forward. So on April 1st, it will be required for a landlord when giving the itemized deduction to also have pictures of the rental after move out and then after the repairs and cleaning. So 2 sets of photos. After July 1st of 2025, the landlord will be required to take pictures at the inception of the tenancy, which would be usually when the tenant is taking possession. So just before the tenant takes possession, the landlord will need to take pictures of the rental property. They'll still be required to have the other photos, the after move out pictures and after repair and cleaning pictures. There'll be a minimum of 3 sets of pictures required in order for a landlord to deduct from the security deposit for repairs or cleaning. Another big change for 2025, you make all your on-time payments for a car, for your cell phone, everything in between, and those get reported to the credit bureau. But what about your rent? Well, now there's a new law that allows a tenant to ask their landlord to go ahead and report their rental payments to the credit bureaus. AB 2747 outlines the positive credit reporting requirements. And again, this is optional for the renter to elect for positive credit reporting, but the landlord does have to offer it, and it talks about what's required for the notice. The landlord is allowed to charge an additional monthly fee up to $10 for this fair credit reporting, whatever it actually costs to do it, and must annually ask a renter if they want to opt into fair credit reporting. Any tenancies that start after April 1st, 2025, this will be in the lease. For anything before then, the landlord has to go ahead and offer the tenant the option by April 1st, 2025. Landlords who are exempt from this requirement are those who have a building that is 15 units or smaller, as long as it's not owned by a real estate investment trust or an LLC. If a landlord has more than one building, then they are subject to this no matter how many units. SB 611 makes some changes. There's actually several things bundled into this one. The important one in here we're going to talk about is the fact that a landlord can no longer charge a fee for posting a notice to terminate tenancy. So if you get a 60-day notice to terminate tenancy, for example, a no-fault termination of tenancy, can't be charged for that notice. And same thing with an at-fault. So if you haven't paid rent, you get a 3-day notice to pay or quit. The landlord cannot charge you a fee for posting of that notice. There's some other goodies in here as well, and I encourage you to read the civil code. AB 2347 makes changes to how long a renter has to answer an unlawful detainer in the event that they're being evicted. So this is typically what people think about for an eviction. They receive paperwork and it says they're going to have to go in front of a judge. Before January 1st, 2025, a renter had 5 court days to answer that unlawful detainer, and we've created content around that. The Tenant Power Toolkit is an important tool that you can use if you've been served the unlawful detainer paperwork as a renter. That 5-day deadline to answer the unlawful detainer has now been changed to 10 days to answer the unlawful detainer. And if it's been mailed, you have an additional 5. So a total of 15 court days to answer. So what is a court day? That is anything but a Saturday, Sunday, or other judicial holiday. So any weekday, any business day where court is in session, that's considered a court day. So a 10-day time period to answer actually will go several weeks by the time you include those Saturdays and Sundays. So that is a big change, giving renters more time to answer the unlawful detainer. And there's a second part related to motions that can be filed, and we're going to actually go through those when we sit down and do a live stream with our eviction attorney buddies at California Property Law Group. We will dive into that deeper. If you're thinking of buying or selling, don't even think of making a move without reaching out to us first. For a deeper dive into landlord-tenant regulations and changes, make sure you subscribe to our free weekly email newsletter where we cover topics like this, plus a whole lot more you need to know. And speaking of what you need to know, YouTube thinks you need to watch this next video right here. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, and we can't wait to hear from you.